Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Welcome to another great episode of Cooking with Mike. I'm here with my friend and chef, not fellow chef, Mike Dimascio. Mike, how you doing today?
Good to see you, Bob.
It's great to see you out here in this beautiful day in Studio K at Foxborough Cable Access.
Well, I traded in my chef coat and chef hat for a baseball cap to stay with the World Series season.
Well, you know, the Red Sox being World Series contenders, we don't know the outcome of this taping, but I'm sure they all eat well. They've got great services, and I'm sure the star athletes always are in tip-top condition, maybe not, because they have food service provided to them. But for those of us who do not play baseball and are not served hand and foot, shall we say, we have to make our own, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So that's what we're here today. We're going to talk about doing a little home cooking.
Yes, we are. Today we're going to create a chicken stir fry, and we are going to keep the chicken separate so we can keep it as a vegetarian dish as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started here. We're going to start off by adding some fresh virgin olive oil to each of our pans. I'm using the pan separately to cook the chicken in one pan and the vegetables in the other.
Now, the chicken you have at 350 degrees, and the vegetables at 425 degrees.
Yes.
Why?
Well, we want to start the chicken off first, and while the chicken is cooking, we want the vegetables to be able to catch up, so we keep them at a higher temperature, so then in the end, the timing should be perfect and everything should be done at the same time.
So chicken will cook longer, lower temperature,
longer and
it'll all be done at the same time.
Longer and slower, so that way we can make sure the chicken is cooked thoroughly. Faster and quicker, get a nice blanch on the vegetables so they bring out the most intense flavor you can out of the vegetable.
And I do love some blanching.
Yes, you do.
But we can't get there until we start with the chicken.
Exactly.
All right.
So we're going to start with the chicken strips here. It's cut into thin strips, again to help with the speed of the cooking. Nice and thin. Try to evenly coat the pan so every piece of chicken is being touched by the heat.
Now you say that's a simple olive oil in there?
Extra virgin olive oil, best you can get. Beautiful.
Now I know that there are sprays and whatnot that can be used, Pam and the like, not to mention a brand name, but there it is. Do you recommend using those, or do you just go with the olive oil?
I always like olive oil. I think it's it's the freshest and best, healthiest method of cooking the food, and they consider olive oil a superfood, which we can talk a little bit about later, what superfoods are.
I always thought butter was a superfood.
It's a super food. So the way I like to cook my vegetables is by which is going to take the longest to cook and work our way down the line. So I'm going to start with our thickest in vegetable, which is the carrot. And I'm going to cut these on a bias cut, which is basically taking the vegetable, cutting it on an angle, and it gives a nice consistent cut throughout the vegetable. So you have a nice look to the vegetable when it is in the pan.
Okay. So you're putting carrots. I don't typically think of carrots as being a stir-fry vegetable.
Oh yeah, I mean really any vegetable can be put into
Really?
a stir fry. I mean I think it's a great addition. Again, very healthy for you. Nice addition to any dish, and the color pops once it gets on the dish.
Okay.
The next will be a nice red pepper. We're going to cut this in julienne strips, which is basically like the size of a thick matchstick. Easy.
Well, showing what a novice I am, I did not realize there were cuts for every type of cut.
Yeah, a lot of people make the cuts every day, but don't realize what they're doing. But yes, everything does have a name to
So
it.
this is an educational program.
Absolutely. Then we have the broccoli crowns. I like to keep them big, and I like to keep a lot of the stock on. Again, a lot of the nutrients are in the stock. So I'm just going to cut these pieces just in half.
So cutting in half, that's not such a technical term.
No, that is not a technical
Okay.
term. Very good.
And that induction burner is on 425 degrees.
Yes.
And again, you used the simple olive oil. You didn't spice it up. You didn't do anything.
Nope. Just as is, just the olive oil, keeping it going. Now this is just going to be a regular slice of the onion here.
Okay.
Nice thin slice. Again, uniformity. That's one thing I like to go for when I'm cooking, is to keep everything nice and uniform. makes the plate look nice when it's completed at the end of the preparation. And again, same with the mushrooms. A lot of people have trouble cutting mushrooms. I think one of the best things to do, cut a little bit off. Now you have a flat area to work on, and you can do your cut nice and simple. Put a few of those in.
I don't know if everybody saw that, so let's try that again. So you slice off just a little bit.
Just a little bit off, about the size that you want. Flip it over. Now it's on a flat, stable surface. They are round, so if you don't do that, then you can roll around. You don't want to lose any fingers while preparing. Never a good addition to a stir fry.
Now I had heard somewhere along the line that you keep your fingers curled in. I noticed you doing the same thing.
Yeah, you want to keep the knife basically up against your knuckles.
Okay.
Keep your fingertips away. Keep everything nice and clear.
So your chicken is cooking up rather quickly.
Yes, it is.
I'm a little surprised, but look at that. That looks really good.
Yep. Get a nice brown on the dish. Now again, if we had it at the same temperature as the vegetables, it might get a little overcooked, might get over brown, but what you want is a nice crisp chicken look to it. It has a nice brown on it, and it's cooking nice and evenly.
Well, since Foxborough Cable Access hasn't invested in smell-o-vision yet, you at home, I'm sorry you're not going to get to enjoy this, but I'm enjoying standing at least on this side because the chicken smells great.
So the chickens are cooking up very nicely. I like to cook it until the onions become a little bit translucent, which is a little bit see-through, and keeping all the vegetables crisp. A lot of people will overcook the vegetables; they get soft and mushy, but I like them to stay nice, firm, and crisp.
Okay.
The last addition, we have a little bit of cilantro. Now, cutting herbs is always a neat thing. A lot of people just will take them and rough chop them up, but there is a cut that I prefer, which is called the chiffonade. It's when you take the...
Okay, go slow. The chiffonade.
Chiffonade, right. That's the name of the cut. Basically, you take the herb, you roll it up. So if you had big basil leaves, you roll the basil leaves up. You just pile them on top, roll them up. Here we have a whole bunch of the cilantro. So we're just going to roll the whole bunch up and just slice it nice and thin.
That is really sharp.
Wow. And what it is,
look how nicely that came out.
And again, I don't like to cut the herbs too small. A lot of people will cut them small. I think the bigger you have them, the more flavor, the more robust flavor you'll get out of the herb, which is a major part of the flavor in the stir fry.
I don't know if people can see, but this is just a beautiful cut. And for folks who have always had a little bit of difficulty, myself primarily, that's definitely a great lesson.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love that.
It's a really nice cut. It works great with basil when you're adding it to tomato sauces or anything like that. It's very nice. Then obviously the most flavor of all comes from our sauce.
Okay, so let's talk about the sauce. You pre-made that.
Yes, I did.
What is in that sauce?
So this is a Asian brown sauce, a very basic sauce. It's basically a broth base, so you can use beef broth, chicken broth, or vegetable broth.
Okay.
It's a little bit of sugar, cornstarch, and soy sauce. And sometimes you can also add a little bit of ketchup. Just adds a little bit of flavor to it.
Okay.
All right. So it's very basic, and I always like to add a little bit of heat, so there is crushed red pepper in there.
A little bit of heat.
We're just going to add this to the vegetable mix.
And our chicken is cooking nicely over there so far. You've got the vegetables all seem to be crispy. You call it blanching.
So we're just going to toss that up here.
So now that you've added the sauce, you're turning
down the temperature on it, just to keep it cooking warm. Again, we don't want to overcook the vegetables.
So that's at 300. That's what you consider warm.
It's at 300. Just going to keep everything warm now.
Okay.
And this dish goes great over either some noodles, white rice, or you can have it as is, just with the stir fry and the chicken on the plate.
Also, it seems to me this is a very healthy meal because in addition to the olive oil, the vegetables, you didn't add anything bizarre to it. That sauce you made, that seems basic ingredients.
Basic ingredients, usually found in most household kitchens. There's nothing unusual about it. Obviously, with all the resources you have on the internet these days, you can find a lot of nice sauces. And Asian sauces are very basic sauces. Unfortunately, they're usually high in sugar, but you need a little bit of little bit of bad with the good.
You need a little bit of bad with the good. I
balance.
like that. That's what I keep telling people.
Yeah.
And of course, folks, we're here with Mike Dimascio, who is our resident chef here at Foxborough Cable Access. And Cooking with Mike, a big piece of the concept behind this program is that these are common ingredients found in a typical kitchen.
Yeah, what we're going to work on here when we in our future shows is, we want to just create things that you can make from what you already have in your existing cabinets, and we're going to come and bring stuff that you might have in your cabinets already. You're able to pull out something if you need a meal, and most of these meals, as you can see, can be created in about 10 minutes or less.
And that's amazing for someone who's fast on the go, has kids working.
Right. I mean, a lot of days, most people these days, 2 working parents, they come, kids at school, want to come home, they're always very busy, have to go out to sports, something nice and quick like this. As long as your kids eat vegetables, this is a great meal for them.
Well, I was going to say, my kids eat vegetables, and so this would be a fantastic meal for us. And you're saying over rice or noodles?
Rice or noodles, yeah, and that's, again, something you can prepare the night before and reheat. Rice and noodles heat up pretty quickly, and you can pour this right over the rice or noodles, and you have a great meal for a
How do you reheat
family.
noodles quickly?
Well, you can do it in 2 different matters. You can boil some water and re-soak them for just a few minutes once the water comes to a boil,
Okay.
or microwave. A lot of families have the microwaves these days.
A lot of families do. On a cooking show, we typically don't like to talk about microwaves, but we have one right behind us.
Right.
We're not going to use it today.
No, we're not going to use it. I am not a fan of microwaves. I like to reheat in pans. So you also can reheat the rice and the pasta in pans as well.
Okay.
All right. So I think we're ready for plating.
All ready for plating.
All
so
ready
the
for
chicken
plating.
is ready, vegetables ready, all at the same time. Now, vegetarian, non-vegetarian?
Yes, we're going to keep a little bit vegetarian, and we're going to keep a little bit for us carnivores.
Well, then I'm going to help out because I have to serve a purpose here. You're doing a great job cooking. I talk a lot, but I love to eat. Here's
Very
a plate.
good. All right. So what we'll do, take a little bit of our vegetables here.
And for those of us lucky to see on camera K, we can see that the delightful array of colors is pretty evident, but the key thing here is that it tastes good. Colors are one thing. Look at that. And your chicken medallions.
Nice chicken medallions on the platter. And then we have a nice simple chicken stir fry. Again, portioning is always important. This is a nice portion, about 2 ounces of chicken, about 3 or 4 ounces of vegetable mix, probably about a tablespoon of the sauce within that portion here. So it keeps it light, keeps it healthy, but also has everything you need for a healthy meal.
Americans tend to put too much on their
Yes.
plates, and a big piece of that would be also the size of the plates. It's not
Yes.
necessary to have the huge dinner plate when you're making a meal for your family.
Absolutely. Good point.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Mike, this is a delightful meal. I cannot believe how quickly time flies when you're having fun with cooking, and the cooking happens so quickly. You just demonstrated that it's easy to make a really good meal in a small amount of time.
Yes, it is. Thank you very
Mike,
much.
it's always a pleasure. And for
Thank
you
you, Bob.
folks at home, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Cooking with Mike. Stir fry. It's good for us, and after I get off camera, it's going to be good for me. Until next time, and I hope you check us out on cable access at fcatv.org, where you can see this episode and many others with Mike Dimascio, our resident chef. Mike,
Thank you, Bob.
it's been good having you.
Thank you very
And it's
much.
going to be good after I leave you.
Yes, it will.
Take care, Foxborough.